Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Who We You'd, an unofficial Doctor Who watch along podcast. My name is Ben, and I'm here with my co host Cam. Today, we're talking about the final story of season 23, Revelation of the Daleks. But before we get into the episode, how you doing today, Cam?
I'm doing good. Had a relaxing weekend. Um,
That's always
Not filled
nice.
with that much to do. Mostly it was just chilling. So, you know, uh, in some ways you feel bad when you have a chilling weekend because you're like, oh God, I wish I could have been productive, you know?
I do.
You know.
This past week was spring break? Some
Yes.
kind of vacation.
Did you go to Miami, Ben?
No, just worked every single day, because the kids, they wanna go see the movies.
Yes. Hopper's and the goat, right? Or is it goat? What's the
Those
name
are
of the goat
both
one? Is it just goat?
it was just Goat. Goat is long gone, Hoppers has been gone for a few weeks. It's, the Super Mario Galaxy movie.
Ah, yes, yes, yes.
Very, very popular. Number
I
1
can
by a
imagine.
lot. With
Yeah.
Project Hail Mary still going strong at a number 2.
Good for Amazon, the multi-billion-dollar corporation or trillion-dollar
Gotta
corporation
look out for the little
probably by
guys,
the
you
time
know?
that this comes out. Well, like, in some ways, I'm just happy that it's just, like, it's gonna be for them, it's gonna make sure that they're gonna push more of a movie theater, so it's good for movie theaters that they're gonna put more of their movies onto streaming. Not streaming, into movie theaters instead of just being on streaming.
Yeah, we've had a few in the last, like, 12 months that have done
Yeah.
alright, not as well as Project Hail Mary.
Yeah, but also they gave Project Hail Mary an actual, like, release window instead of just being like, "Alright, it's up for a week. Now it's on Amazon and not on Netflix." The hope is that Netflix is gonna follow suit, and then Netflix is gonna actually do theatrical windows for movies.
Yeah, it
That would be
sucks.
awesome.
The, like, theatrical Netflix stuff we've gotten is, like, really banging. Like, Frankenstein did awesome,
Yeah.
and then it's just on Netflix right away, and we easily could have continued doing well for a few more weeks.
Well, and then, like, another one was the Wake Up Dead Man last year of just, like, if that was just in movie theaters, people would go see that just because of the star power behind it, and then they'd be like, "Okay, yeah, I like Knives Out in the second Knives Out movie, so I'm gonna see the third one," you know?
Yeah,
But instead, it's just like, "Oh, it's on Netflix, so I don't have to. I can just watch it in watch it in the home." The big one this year is gonna be, the Cliff Booth movie that's gonna be directed by David Fincher and written by Quentin Tarantino, starring Brad Pitt. It's like, that's the movie that you would wanna put in movie theater, so let's hope maybe that's gonna get a month or 2 or 3 theatrical window, like an actual theatrical window, not just a couple of movie theaters, but we'll see. We'll see.
we will see.
Here's hoping. That'd be awesome. But then, like, Netflix can't do that for every movie because, like, Netflix releases so many movies that nobody would give a shit about.
Gotta do the whatever it is called, the Princess Switch 7 for a month.
But no one would have ever guessed, like, last year that, like, K-pop Demon Hunters was gonna be, like, the
No,
biggest movie. So that would have been straight to streaming.
Sony could have made billions when they gave it to Netflix. They didn't have belief in it.
But, like, did they give it all away? Did they not keep any, like, the merchandising rights or the song rights or anything? Is it all owned by Netflix?
I have no idea. My
Yeah.
loose understanding is like it's Netflix's property. If there's a K-pop Demon Hunters 2, it's going on Netflix. They can't just
But it's gonna be made by still by Sony.
yeah.
If Sony Animation Department made it in the first place, it could have been also subtracted by another different company.
No, it was the
I
same. It
forget what
was,
it's like.
I believe, the main studio, same that did
Yeah.
Goat and Spider
So
Verse.
so they're still gonna make money on the sequels. It's just
Oh
not gonna be
yeah,
as much as they would have
it's
made if they just released
they
it.
just get a slice of the pie instead of the
Yeah,
whole giant pie.
yeah. Uh, they're not gonna have to worry. They have a pie coming up called Spider-Man, Ben. Well, even that Spider-Man, they have to give a little bit of the pie away to, the Sony people, but not Sony people, the Disney, people,
Mhm.
but still, my god. When you want a piece of that pie, Ben?
It's a wonderfully delicious pie. Should we get into it?
Yes.
So, Revelation of the Daleks, Cam. broadcast March 23rd through March 30th, 1985 on BBC One,
Mhm.
written by the incumbent script editor Eric Sayward.
Which remember, like, there's a whole thing that they can't commission scripts because they are a script editor, and, like, there was some
Is there a
clause of,
pseudonym
like
here or something?
no, it's actually him because, like, the contract for script editor was in limbo at that point, so he had, like, 2 weeks to write it, so he wrote in those 2 weeks that he wasn't officially hired back again as script editor.
Interesting.
Also, just to point out now, because we have to point out at some point, he has said this is his best story that he's written for Doctor Who.
In comparison to Resurrection of the Daleks, Earthshock, and the Visitation.
Wild stuff. I don't like. We'll get into our thoughts later, but saying this is better than Airshock is crazy.
Perhaps. And directed by Graham Harper, returning from Caves of Androzani. Like we said before, this is the guy who Russell T Davies says, "Yeah, we need this guy back."
He does a lot of the 10th Doctor stuff. Mainly does the sequels, not the sequels, the finales for both season 2 and season 4, and does Water of Mars. So a lot of the biggies.
So, good director. Produced by John Nathan Turner. Are you sick of John Nathan Turner? Do you think we should have had a new person by now?
Oh yeah, like I think it's not. I think he has made it clear himself that he thought he should have ended it during the Five Doctors. He should have. The Five Doctors should have been his moment where he was like, "I've done this for 3 years. I'm out of here." I think he probably could have kept on with Peter, but like, same thing happened with Moffat of like they get excited about the opportunities of like the new Doctor, so then they stay on because they're like, oh, there's this guy as the Doctor. Let me just stay on so I can experience that Doctor. They have a new like energy,
Yeah.
but of course, hindsight's of course is different because definitely I think that like for the show to survive and then not get canceled at this point or in the survival. Um, it probably needed new blood. It needed a new producer to really give it a new direction.
Well, the show is almost canceled at this point, or it
Yeah,
is canceled and they change their mind.
yeah. Which one should we talk about that now, or should we talk about that after we talk about the episode? Because it does happen after this.
Uh, let's talk about it uh before we talk about Mysterious Planet.
Okay.
I think that makes the most sense, unless you disagree.
Well, we're gonna have to talk about it because, of course, like at the end of this episode, it was gonna be "I'll take you to Blackpool,"
Yeah.
but then this episode ends with "I'll take you to." It just cuts. The subtitles does do "I'll take you to B." I don't know if you saw that.
I did not have the subtitles on.
At least on the Blu-ray, it just which I thought was interesting because I don't hear the B, I just hear, "Well, I'll take you to blank." Which
Oof.
honestly, it's not a good ending of the show. If the show didn't come back after this, I wouldn't have been happy with just the Doctor just being like, "I'll take you to blank." The Survival, like, whole speech like, Survival has a whole speech at the end of it. I think that's so much of a grander way to send off than just, "Hey, we're gonna leave this open as a question mark."
It's, it's more of a, you know, they go on holiday finally, and their adventures continue. Let's go. Yeah. Mm. But before the show is almost canceled, we have this story, Revelation of the Daleks,
Ben, give us a synopsis.
from the Doctor Who Classic YouTube channel. The Doctor and Peri arrive on the planet Necros to attend a funeral of an old friend of the Doctor. However, tranquil repose is not all it seems, and soon it is discovered that the great healer is none other than Davros, the creator of the Daleks. He is
Dun, dun,
intent
dun.
on rebuilding the Dalek race that were previously decimated by the Movellans, even if that results in some very monstrous experiments.
Ooh.
So, Cam, what did you think of Revelation of the Daleks?
So I watched this before, but unlike a lot of times when I'm like, "Oh yeah, I've seen this before for classic Doctor Who," I've seen this recently. I saw this when like the Blu-ray came out. So or not when the Blu-ray came out, but whenever I get the Blu-ray, because in America we get them pretty late app anyway. So usually it's best just to wait for them to go on sale, and then they get off like almost half price. So whenever I got the Blu-ray
Yeah,
is when
a
I
few
watched it
years
for the
ago.
first time. So recent enough compared to a lot of the other times where I'm like, I've seen this like 10 years ago and I don't really remember. And I remember really liking it the first time I watched it. I would say this time around, I don't like it as much as my memory had me liking it, but I still think this is a very enjoyable story. It's very dark, it's really weird, really well directed. Graham Hopper, again, is just a great director, especially all that snow stuff outside is just awesome with the blue coat. It's but, yeah, and Terry Malloy is very fun in the story. A lot more Terry Malloy than the resurrection of the Daleks, so that's fun. I really like the world of this story. It is very interesting. Where a lot of times where like in last story with Time Lash, where we get a lot of that world building and like the world building is just dull. This world building is actually really interesting, and you want to watch it even when the Doctor is on screen. What did you think of this episode watching it for the first time?
I thought it was pretty good. I think the biggest yeah, the doctor, I'm still finding likable. I
Yeah.
think the concepts of, like, turning people into the Daleks, the, like, body horror elements, uh, are really interesting. And a lot of the, like, one-off characters are pretty good, well acted. The 2 biggest problems I would say for me is, 1, the Doctor takes way too long to get to be a part of the action. That first part, he has, like, that one little fight, but the rest is just walking.
Yeah.
Walking through the snow to the building. He
But
doesn't
isn't it
get
so beautiful? It looks so good.
I know, he's really rocking that blue coat. It looks great.
In the snow, the blue coat with the snow really does like, and this is the last time Classic Doctor Who is shot on film on location.
Yeah,
And it goes out with a bang. It looks gorgeous, especially on the Blu-ray.
but it's just a lot of walking. He doesn't get into the building until you're, like, 10 minutes into part 2.
But I like the walking. I think that those bits are fun, especially like that moment where they climb up and the watches gets broken and he's so sad about his watch getting broke.
Yeah, but I just wish the Doctor was part of the
The
story
story.
earlier on. Um,
But Eric Saber doesn't care about the Doctor. He wants this whole less love story about this woman that's in love with this man that doesn't love her back.
yeah, it feels like Eric Sayward is much more interested in the Knight of Oberon and the, you know, love triangle with the, like, mortuary guy and Peri and the girl who was working for Davros, and not at all interested in a Doctor Who.
Let's not even talk about the whole subplot of the people breaking in to get the father of the girls, and then
Yeah,
they find the father, and it turns into a Dalek.
yeah. They're kinda doing their own thing for, like the plots don't intersect until, like, halfway through part 2.
Yeah,
Like, there's a lot of threads, not very few of them are related to the Doctor and Perry, unfortunately. And then we don't get the Doctor and Davros until, like, the last 15 minutes,
yeah,
which
and even
those
that's like there's still so much other things to do, so we barely get them together.
but overall, I would say it's pretty good.
I would say like my one of my takeaways about watching this and like success watching it in order, I feel very much like this is kind of Eric Saber's reaction to Keza Androzani. This is him seeing what Robert Holmes did, the how dark that story is,
Yeah,
and how operatic that story is at moments. And I feel like this has a lot of that same darkness and operatic stuff of caves. And then also as well as like when you have the president and the Great Hailer stuff feels really much like the all the politics stuff in Caves of Androzani.
yes. Yeah, there's a lot of, like, politics stuff. Not the president that is yet to arrive, that never arrives. She
Mm.
is also on Necros. Uh, I can never tell if she was, like, part of Tranquil Repose or if something else, and I guess she is, 'cause her food supplies are people, actually. They're the
Oh,
people that are interred there,
yeah. We're talking
and
about of Kara.
Yeah,
Kara is the character we're talking about. Well,
Kara
I
and
got
her,
confused. I thought she was the president. She's not the president. She's just the manager of the Kara's kitchen on the planet Necros.
yes.
So
They
yeah,
talk
so
about the
she's the one
president
that's
and he's coming to see his wife
uh,
a lot, and that never really goes anywhere.
yeah.
Also,
I think
who's
that's
the
why I got confused.
friend that the doctor was supposed to be, like, going to? Oh, according to the wiki, his friend is that woman's father who gets turned into a Dalek.
Which is not clear. Like I would totally. I'm in the same
Mhm.
camp of you. I was both like I did not get the impression that that's the guy that the Doctor and Perry are going to see.
Yeah, I thought they were going to see, like, who they're preparing the funeral thing for, which is the president's wife? And I was, like, confused, like, is he talking about, like, the president of Gallifrey? Is he talking about the doctor? Is that because the doctor's on his way? Is that what we're talking about here? I think just, like, last part, he said, like, "Yes, I'm the president of Gallifrey," because he is, technically. The real question, Cam,
Yes.
though, is what did you think of the DJ?
DJ is fun. I think that like I can understand why some people might have argues with might be put off by the DJ and might think it actually takes them away from the story because the story is so dark and so twisted, and then you just have this guy that's just like, "Hey, I'm having fun," and like I feel so bad for the people, the bodies of like that are like just like
That are
suffering. They're just in the
forced to
state.
listen to this guy's Elvis impressions forever?
This guy's doing his own comedy routine, and like we are doing it in Who We Heard, and they're just getting suffered through it. And like, I think also they do mention that like he's the premium package, so like they paid extra
Yeah,
for
you have
that.
to pay extra so you can stay up to date on the comings and goings of the world. That guy, he's played by Alexei Sale, who is a active, popular comedian at the time. So that makes sense that yeah, he's on Doctor Who. Let's get him on.
Very again, like that's J&T's type of thing. If J&T was a stunt caster, he liked to like, all right, we're gonna get this guy that's like that's on this other show onto this on our show, so people will be like, oh, that
Yeah.
guy.
Uh and I think part 1 I was just like confused and off put. He loops back around to being likable with him and Peri. I really
Yeah.
liked using the rock and roll gun to blast
Yeah.
some Daleks.
I think it helps make the story not be a miserable, like just darkness.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of levity that I think the story kind of needs.
There's still not as much death as Resurrection, but most of our cast do still die here.
Well, also it's like it's not just like the death count; it's also just like the mood and like the story is all about like all these people getting morphed into Daleks and also just dying and getting turned into a food product. It's like that's not like this. That's not like a fun Saturday morning adventure type story. Again, this is one of those times where you're like, what does Eric Sayward think this show is for? It's
Yeah.
well, you know who Revelation of the Daleks is for. It's for Eric Sayward. I think that's pretty clear that he's made a show for himself.
Yeah, this is another gun-filled story of violence and decay and body horror.
And the world's not a good
This is not
place.
a children's show anymore. Remember a time when it was just about, oh, what if the doctor was really small and he stood next to a big piece of corn? Wouldn't that be neat? Have you seen
Now we're
Planet
gonna
of
have this
Giants?
guy that's just begging his daughter to shoot him, and he's like, "If you ever loved me, shoot me." Which might be one of the darkest things the show has ever done, is a father telling their own grown daughter, "If you ever loved me, shoot me and kill me." While he's also like as a half Dalek is going, "Exterminate, exterminate." That whole sequence is great, right?
Yes, probably the best bit of the episode.
Yeah.
Really
Really well
just
directed by Graham
horrific.
Hopper. Really well acted by that actor, whoever is the actor that is like both the actors that are like the daughter actor and the actor that is inside the Dalek. Um, Very well directed, as well as one of those times when the show does really good at props.
Arthur Stengos was played by Alec Linstead, who previously was Osgood in The Damons, which
But
he
yeah,
did.
the special effects of like like, those transparent Dalek
Yeah, the like
is
glass
so cool,
Daleks. Mhm.
as well as like like how it's lit and like the body horror of it. So it's very well done,
Horrific.
but also kind of beautiful. Like the way that it is transparent and stuff. It's very well done.
Very well done.
As well as another shout out this episode is that was really well done is like the actual like production design of this one. When you compare it to like last week with Time Lash, where it was so just boring and there was nothing interesting going on. The halls of Necros and the layer that Davros is in, it's all very interesting to look at. And all feels like a real world that they are living in. It doesn't just feel like sets on the BBC studio.
Yeah. I reminds me, it made an impression on me when, I don't know precisely how they did it, but, like, if it was film, I guess it would be, they, like they gave the impression of, like, multiple floors in one
Yeah,
continuous shot, with, like, I don't know, the practicality of, like, what are you changing the alignment of the film so it's, like, well executed. I am very curious how they did the the Davros head that can spin that
yeah,
can spin 360, because it looks like they'd have a guy in there, but also you can see, like, the bottom of the head, and there's, like,
yeah.
wires and
It's very good. And also you kinda do go it is kind of a mystery box of going like, "Why is Davos just ahead?" And then they reveal, of course, it's like a dummy, and the real Davros is still alive and has his full body.
yeah.
What do you think of Terry Malloy this episode in his second performance as the Davros?
I thought he was excellent.
It's kind of one of those things where it's like, it's kind of impossible to follow up Michael Wisher as Davros from Genesis of the Daleks, but Terry Malloy does do a very good job filling those footsteps,
Yeah, better
those
than,
boots.
so far, he feels like to be a better, interpretation than the one from Destiny.
But, like, this episode alone is just like, he gives a really menacing performance, and is just very evil and just it's very good, especially when for a lot of the episode, he is just a head. So he doesn't even have his hand to move around like Michael Wisher had. He's just the
Yeah.
head in a jar, and he's still giving off a great performance.
Oh, yeah.
It's very funny though that, like, for that first part of this episode, it is just Davros watching TV.
Yeah.
Like, that's all it is. It's just everyone's just especially when it is, like, those 2 characters of the guy that doesn't love her and she loves him, and they're both fucking crazy. Like, when he's following that and just watching, like, this local
Joe
the
Bell.
local romance, it's
Yeah.
that's so funny to me. That he's just getting he's this is the stories that he's watching on the TV. Also, like, I love the idea was also he's listening to the DJ. That's it's like he's like, "Oh god,
Yeah.
shut this guy up."
Which why does the DJ have unrestricted access to all the security cameras, the same access that Davros does?
You know, like, there was a contract, we had to get him down. He made some request, we to allow to have him be the DJ, we had to agree to the request, you know? It's not just that, like, they knew pretty on the, like, "Oh, look at Perry." It seemed like it was pretty early on the story that they found out that Perry was on the planet and the Doctor.
I mean, this whole thing was very carefully orchestrated by Davros. He knew he would draw the doctor to him.
Yeah.
That's why he put the fake grave. It was all part of his plan, I guess.
Yeah, which that's so dumb, right? That could have been cut. That could have been a more interesting cliffhanger, right?
Yeah. I mean, I understand the in theory, standing in front of one's own grave is a striking concept, but in execution, And as the cliffhanger, it doesn't really do much. I think a big part of it is the prop is just not that great.
Yeah, the one of the biggest things that the story does do, I think, because like, it's always weird about, like, how Dalek mutants get created, because like, it's like, are they s do they have to be from Skaro? But then, like, they're being made in Power of the Daleks, right?
Yeah,
So it's like, this is like a very clear thing of like, oh no, Davros is taking these humans and making them into to Daleks.
yeah.
Which I think is the first time we've had that, at least for the Davros version of the Daleks. All the ones before this would have been colored Daleks that Davros would himself would have made.
Yeah, that's a interesting idea that this story, I think, continues, that there are these, you know, factions of Daleks, one's for Davros and one for the Dalek Supreme.
And then like this one also introduces the gold and white Daleks. What do you think of the gold and white Daleks in that design?
I think as semi incognito um guards of this medical facility, I think the white makes sense. I think for someone who's trying to keep their identity a secret, I don't think having the Daleks public knowledge at all makes sense, but
Yeah, no, it doesn't. You would think that would just be hidden down below, but like they're just roaming the halls and they're like, oh, look at that Dalek over there.
I mean, the white, I mean, it works.
Yeah, I really like the gold and white design personally. Probably a part of that is that my love for Remembrance of the Daleks, and also my love for the new series Daleks of that being bronze, and like the gold is kind of like this is the first time where we got like those the gold in a Dalek.
Mhm.
I think they look good. I think they look really good, in my opinion. I think they look better with like the blue eye stalks and Remembrance, and here they still have like the regular white eye stalk with the black pupil. But I think the white and gold does fit the Daleks. It's I like the Daleks in white or silver. I really hope that next time we see the Daleks that it's gonna be a different color than just the bronze that we've had for a while
In
now,
the
and then also
present
or like
day,
a gray or like the dark bluish gray. Yeah. I want the new ones to be like a new color like that. Might have them be white or have them be silver.
we haven't seen the Daleks since, like, what, Power of the Doctor?
Yeah.
14 and 15 never encountered, although I think 14
No.
comics did, but that doesn't
Yes,
really
that doesn't
count,
count. Yeah, it's a shame.
fortunately.
Whenever we'll see what the Daleks would have looked like on a Disney's budget. That's one of the things where it's like, ah, what a shame. And also, there's the shame of just Shooty never got to see the Daleks. Cyberman as well was just like, oh god, Shooty. I would love to see the Cyberman with like an actual budget. But anyways, yeah. What else did they talk about?
What
Um,
about, Orsini? The Knight of Oberon, I think, is a fairly interesting character here.
yeah, and again, another one where the performance is very good. I would say. Um, it's it's one that really only has the payoff. I would say of like at the end when his friend dies and then he's the one that sacrifices himself at the end of the day, and him and the
Yeah,
doctor have like a moment where like they're broing out like, yeah, bro, let's do this, bro. Good job, bro. That stuff is very good. And I like that they have this whole honor system and stuff, and like they have like this gun that he's like, I'm gonna kill Davros with this gun. It's like I
yeah.
don't know, it's somewhat interesting, you know?
There's a world where this mercenary character is way more boring, but the performance is really good, and there's, like, the interesting honor, I need to get an honorable kill in, uh
And how he has a squire with him that's like almost as old as him, or even maybe older than him, and he's like, my
yeah,
squire.
and he's like, he's filthy, but his instincts are never wrong. I don't he's interesting, likable.
Yeah. Like a lot of this episode is interesting. It's just kind of one of those things where you go, this story could have been more. They could have cut stuff on the story and made it really tight. Instead of it's a lot of interesting ideas, but it's a little bit like messy.
Yeah,
I would feel like I think that's a good summarization of Revelation of the Daleks. Because even then you get like the next thing we
agreed.
should talk about is what I've been talking about a couple of times now. of the Jobles, and the girl's name is, but you have the Jobles and Tassebecker, a whole love story that I've been talking about. What do you think of that whole love story and the whole that back and forth relationship? You weren't as hot on it? Ben, I don't know what you just did. Ben, you do know that this is a podcast. This is an audio platform. You just did something visual. Everyone that's just listening to this is like, what just happened? What did Ben think about this relationship?
Shrug. Um, eh, yeah, it's only really interesting at the very end when like she drives she's driven to kill him.
By Davros. And then Davros is like, you know what? I'm gonna turn you into a Dalek. And it's like it's so over the top and so goofy, but I love it.
Yeah.
I love her performance of how big she goes. And even him, which we will see again. Don't worry, Ben. Clive Swift will return once more in Voyage of the Damned, and we will have one of the greatest interviews I've ever had in Doctor Magazine. And we'll talk about it then.
Okay.
Look forward to that. It's wild. Anybody that knows about that interview is like nodding their head right now, like, yeah. Which we'll cover in like a year and a half to 2 years from now. But I really like the relationship. I think that she gives and both of them give off a great performance. And like you said, the ending is really cool. When she goes like this just goes up and like stabs him on the big hallway. It's like it's operatic.
And he's like completely like he fully sees her with the syringe, but he's like such a big ego. He's like, no, she would never do that. I have nothing to
Yeah.
worry about. You just keep working, guys. They just ignore her.
And it's so comically over the top of the relationship. She's like, "I love you," and he's like, "I fucking hate you. I want you to die." And he sees Perry. He's like, "Perry, hello there. I'm gonna be creepy to you."
That's one thing I don't like, but also about this story is Perry. Number one, this continuing to be just like sexually harassed and
Yes.
like the doctor's like saying you eat too much, you're fat, and just like being verbally abusive in not a you're my friend that I playfully bicker with, but just felt mean. I don't know.
Yeah, no, the Sixth Doctor is just a big fucking meanie. That's what he is.
Like, all right, now go with this guy who really clearly wants to just like rape you, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna go this way. You'll be
But
safer with
he's
me.
very he but also, you gotta give him credit that once the docs 'cause he knows the docs are involved, he's like, "Perry, I want you to go back to the TARDIS, like, right now. Like, no kidding. Like, you gotta do this for me." Like,
Yeah.
he's pretty straight with her. He's not fool
No,
he does not fool around once he finds out what's happening here.
it's there are times where I see the care, and there are times where he's just really fucking mean for no reason,
Yeah.
and I just don't understand. He doesn't need to be like, "Oh, I love you. You're the best," all the time. But like,
Yeah.
dial it back a little bit, Eric Sayward,
Mhm. You
because I'm
you're
sure
gonna
it's
like him
Eric
in Big
Sayward, not
Finish. I'm
Colin.
telling you, Ben, because he's perfect in Big Finish. He's that perfect amount of, like, a little bit of sass, but a little bit of hot. Like, he's I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts about him on
Yeah.
Big Finish.
Yeah, and all the Colin stuff with Davros, I think, very well done.
Yes. Just more of it. Come on, Eric.
Yes, needed more. I love the when Davros loses his hand, Colin, as he's
Yes, which of
about
course
to be
is a
escorted
big
away.
thing that we have to talk about.
Is that a big thing we need to talk about?
Yeah, Davos loses his hand. That's a for Ben, I'm telling you right now, that's a forever thing. That he's never going back that hand. He always has a robot hand after this.
Really? I guess that is his
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of significant because that's like his one appendage. This is his entire life is just so without a hand. Oh fuck, that's it.
It's a brutal, like, his hand gets exploded and his fingers, like, fly apart, like
Yeah, they like roll on the ground,
yeah.
but the doctor gives like about to shake his hand. It's like, oh, I forgot
I think we
that.
covered a lot of this story.
Yeah, best and worst special effects.
Ooh, this is actually one that's gonna be interesting.
I mean,
I
best
best special effect might be, like you said, the revolving Davros head.
I think the like prosthetic makeup of the girl's father, Stengos,
Yeah,
that has to be it in the glass Dalek.
yeah. As well as a shout out to the explosion of the hand. That's a good explosion of the hand.
Worst, I would say
There's nothing
maybe
really that bad, the story.
I would say the gravestone that is like
Yeah, yeah.
segments that are stacked and you
Mhm.
can see it like blowing in the wind. And then when the doctor in part two gets up, the gravestone is now about a quarter of the size it was when it was erect.
Yeah.
And you can hear the like styrofoam just plop onto the ground. Not a heavy stone.
No, 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 no. Also, I wanna give a shout out to, like, the Swamp Man. The Swamp Man's also pretty good. That's that
Ooh,
makeup. It's
yeah.
not, like, the best makeup in the world, but it's not the worst. He looks gross, which is what you want him to be.
Who was able to reclaim his humanity at the very end. A cliffhanger. We already talked about it. Just the one where the doctor is crushed by his tombstone, and Peri screams, "Doctor, doctor!"
I do like that they stay with it for a bit. For a bit, it's like, "Okay, the doctor's dead." It's not
Yeah,
like immediately the doctor's like, "Oh,
just
I'm
a
alive, Perry, don't worry."
yeah. He gets a minute or two, where she can be sexually harassed by Jobel a little bit.
Yeah, and also be emotionally devastated.
Yeah. Cam, how would you rate Revelation of the Daleks?
So, I remember when I watched Resurrection, I said I liked Resurrection. Liked Revelation more. I still think I like Revelation more just because Revelation is so weird. Um, and for reference, I gave Resurrection an 8.5, but I don't think it's as good as Vengeance on Varos. I don't think it's Colin's best story. So I think I'm gonna go 8.6. I
Okay.
think it's a really good story, but it's just not like it's not like a it's very good. It's not like the one of the greatest Doctor Who episodes, but it's very good.
Is Vengeance on Varos one of the greatest Doctor Who episodes?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely I would say out of the Collins I have seen, it's the best Colin episode.
Feeling like it's a 8.2, which puts it above Vengeance on Varos for me.
Mhm.
I enjoyed it quite a bit. Um, which gives us an average rating of 8.4. Uh, I guess let me do some math. Figure out because this is the end of season 22.
Beep boop beep boop. Here are the numbers.
So, Cam, your average rating for season 22 is 6.73, and mine is 7.2, which gives us an average of 6.97, which puts this for both of us better than season 21, but
Interesting.
not as good as any of the Fifth Doctor stories or of season 20 or 19,
Mm.
but better than Graham Williams except for 17.
Very interesting. I think that what helps it a lot is I like Attack of the Cybermen. Vengeance of Varys, I think, is really good. I think Revelation of the Doc is really good. All the other stories are kind of just okay and forgettable, but it has those at least those three stories that are not terrible. Like 21 just has a bunch of. It's literally just it's you have two stories that are good that whole
Yeah.
season,
I know,
and you do like Mark of the Rani.
I thought it was fine, yeah. Did you, know you were dreading the triple whammy of the Mark of the Rani, the 2 Doctors and Time Lash, before we could get to
Yeah.
sandwiched in between 2 of the best stories. Was that as painful as you thought it would be?
Yes, I did not enjoy those 3 episodes, especially 2 Doctors being a six-parter. Honestly, The sixth part of this whole season should have been this story, Revelation of the Daleks, 'cause there's so much ideas that could have been expanded
Probably.
on.
Yeah, if we had another part of Davros, the Doctor, like, it would be fine if the Doctor took a part to get to Tranquil Repose, if he had 2 parts there.
Yeah,
But, like, when you're only working with 2 parts, you gotta hurry it up.
yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, I don't hate him, which is always what you wanna hear. You don't hate the main character. So,
Okay, join us
Joel
next week, for Trial of a Time Lord. We're doing it in separate episodes because we're not Doctor Who magazine. I know
yeah.
there was a point, Ben, that you wanted to do in one episode. You really were like, "Let's do it. Let's do one big long episode." We're gonna do one big long episode at one point. You're gonna get a mega cut. Look forward to that.
Yeah, it's the difference between in release, this is part 1 through 14 of one story, but in production, it's treated as 4 separate,
Yeah.
connected but distinct, like, production blocks with
Mhm.
4 scripts and I think 3 writers or maybe 4. I don't know.
Yes. It's 3 writers.
Because is it Robert Holmes that comes in at Ultimate Foe for part of it
Uh,
even?
he comes in, he writes Mysterious Planet, and I think he does Mind Warp. Ultimate Foe is the one that got screwed over because it was gonna be Robert Holmes dies. Then Eric Sayward is gonna write it. Eric Sayward then quits. So then they can't use any of that material. So then Jane and Pip Baker, not Jane and Pip Baker, Jane and Pip, what's their last name, Ben? Is it Baker?
Yeah.
Jane and Pip Baker come in and then they have to rewrite it. It's a disaster of production. We'll talk about when we get to the Ultimate Foe.
But oh, the next one, Mysterious Planet. Or the first one of Trial, that's Robert Holmes, so that's something to look forward
Yes.
to.
The
He
Valiad, dude. He's
usually doesn't
gonna get
steer us wrong,
introduced. Introduce the Valiad, Ben. Let's go.
and we'll get a new companion next season. I feel like we
Okay.
just started Colin, and now we're almost done,
Yes, we are.
relatively.
That's the fate of his doctor. Very similar to the Shooty. It's the Mel Bush curse.
Is it all her fault?
Yes. So join us next week.
For the mysterious planet? Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Peace out.